You want me to help you move a nuclear bomb.
I know DeVoe's hit us pretty hard, but winning this battle may just win us the war.
All right, get me for 24 hours, not a minute more.
Let's go get our guy.
I'm gonna be running ahead of the truck.
I'll be at Star Labs. I'll be monitoring his vitals.
And I'll be reciting every prayer that Cecile's ever taught me.
How much time do we have left?
Not enough.
If he explodes, it could destroy the entire city.
The Flash, all new this Tuesday at 8/7 Central on the CW.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. We got new Flash to break down in Action Comics 1000. If you didn't know, it's a big anniversary. Everyone's posting about it on social media today. They hit their 1000th issue. It's Bendis' first Superman issue. He's taking over the title with Jim Lee. So they did a collection of a bunch of different stories from all the people that have worked on Superman comics in the past, as well as a new Bendis Jim Lee story that lets you know what they're going to be doing with the actual comic book after this big anniversary issue. So if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There's a new round of that Flash Ring giveaway. All you have to do to enter, just be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. But obviously, the big thing with this next week Flash episode is that they have like the final bust meta that looks like he's going to be the one to weaponize DeVoe's special enlightenment device, because it kind of looks like a really small bomb. It's powered by dark matter, but maybe it just doesn't blow up big enough, and that's why he needs this nuclear man to actually turn it into a real bomb. But if you've seen the title, then you know that they're doing Mad Max Fury Rogue, because it's called Fury Rogue, as in rogues like Captain Cold.
4 rules you need to remember. Make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan.
So too bad Heatwave isn't around. I'll talk about Captain Cold a little bit too, because this might be Wentworth Miller's last episode for a long time, because that was kind of the reason they did that whole Earth X thing and then put him on Legends of Tomorrow for a couple episodes. It gets really confusing when you hear that actors are leaving the TV shows. You're like, wait a minute, are they leaving this one TV show? Or are they leaving for good because he's a Flash character even though he was on Legends of Tomorrow for a while? But I love how crazy things have gotten. Like, they're all sitting there. Caitlin's lost her powers, so she's like still trying to help out as Caitlin because she's still a really smart biologist. She can help out with these bust metas, but she doesn't have her actual Killer Frost powers. It looks like things are definitely going to go off the rails. And then Joe pipes up and says, I'm going to say every prayer Cecile ever taught me. And you're like, wait a minute, is Cecile religious? Did she actually teach him prayers? Or are they just saying her name so that you remember that she's a character on the show? The whole thing with Cecile and the pregnancy is this big red herring at the moment. I don't know how they're going to bring it around at the end of the season. I'm in terror that they might turn Coffee Shop Girl into Joe and Cecile's daughter, but I have a feeling that she has some metahuman DNA in her, and they said that their baby is not a metahuman. So it's like, why would they say that their baby is going to be a girl and then tease all this Coffee Shop Girl stuff and then imply that she's burying Iris's daughter? What is the whole point of Cecile having a baby on the TV show if it's not supposed to be some big mislead for a big fandom payoff, like something that will make you feel very satisfied? And it just doesn't feel like Joe and Cecile having a baby is going to accomplish that goal. So it just feels like it's setting up something bigger. Be prepared for a couple left turns. I think I said in my last episode 18 video that I believe episode 20 is supposed to be a Coffee Shop Girl episode. So I think that's when most of the answers will be given, but obviously episode 23 is the finale, so I have a feeling that they'll get a little bit of help from Coffee Shop Girl that will lead them into the finale, but it's a little too soon to get all the answers, so just don't expect her to come out and say, this is exactly who I am, and this is what all these Speed Force symbols mean. Because remember, the Speed Force symbols is another big thing that we haven't examined in a long time. We haven't gone back to that since we saw Coffee Shop Girl scribbling those same symbols inside Jitters at the beginning of this year a couple months ago. There are a lot of you that have also noticed that DeVoe has some of the same symbols on his blackboard way back before he became the Thinker, like when he's still in his regular body here with his wife before things go crazy. Easy conclusion to make is that Coffee Shop Girl has most of the answers that they need to defeat DeVoe. Barry will have to use those to put the pieces together and actually face him himself. But I always love having Captain Cold back. There's a couple things that I don't like about the affectations that he lays on the character, like the way he says some of his dialogue, but Wentworth Miller is a fantastic actor. I love the Captain Cold character, so anytime he comes back, it's a lot of fun. But just let me know in the comments, how quickly do you think that the plan is going to go off the rails? So talking a little bit about Action Comics, like it's an amazing issue that just honors the history of Superman, like this big anniversary, 1000 issues, that's crazy. So what they did is they have a bunch of different artists from the past that came back, like Dan Jurgens, a bunch of other people. Even Richard Donner and Jeff Johns came back to do a small story. So it's like a bunch of really small stories and then like a tag for Bendis' story in what the actual story of Action Comics is going to be going forward. They did really beautiful covers of all the different decades of Superman, highlighting some of the big creative changes from decade to decade. So outer space, Martians were really big during the 50s. You have Superman fighting a lot of aliens. During the 60s, everything got really weird and colorful, so you have all these Kryptonians wearing all this really cool gear. The really cool thing about iconic characters that have been around for a long time like Superman, and the issue sort of does this when you look at all the different covers and the types of stories, is just seeing the way that he's written and he's drawn to reflect what the current culture is. So within the stories, Superman sort of travels across time. Remember when Batman got sent back in time by Darkseid's Omega Beams during Final Crisis? They kind of do a version of that with Superman so that they can tell stories from different decades. So like there's a 1930s Superman, there's a World War II 1940s Superman. They're all wearing different costumes. They have different power levels. Quantum Leap style, Superman sort of narrates the journey like, oh wow, this seems so familiar, but that can't be real. I'm from modern day. How could I be from the 1930s? My powers work a little bit different, and I'm a little bit punchier than I normally am with regular people. So the issue's really fun. Even if you're not a big comic book reader, I recommend you check it out. But obviously really big comic book fans are all waiting to see what Bendis is going to do with the character, because this is the big thing that brought him away from Marvel that he's been at for so long. Like he was numero uno person at Marvel Comics for a long time. But if you're not really familiar with what's going on in comics and at both of the companies, both of them are in a little bit of crisis. Rebirth was the answer for that at DC Comics. But part of Bendis' deal is that he gets to consult on some of the movies as well. Like he made the joke that Steven Spielberg's Black Hawk movie was part of the deal when he came to DC. I told him that they had to get Spielberg on the Black Hawk movie. That was part of my deal. This isn't actually a thing. This is just him making a joke about it. Steven Spielberg was probably in talks for a long time with Warner Brothers to do something in the DC universe. You may have also recently seen that Bendis separately is working on a Kitty Pryde movie with Tim Miller. Obviously, X-Men, Fox, Disney owns X-Men right now, so you can kind of see that like Bendis just got everything that he wanted when he came to DC, and that was like part of the allure for him. They're like, okay, we'll let you work on the DC movies, we'll give you any character to write you want, so he chose Superman, but we'll also let you develop movies at other rival studios, which is a big thing. Usually it's exclusive when big artists like that go from studio to studio. Like if someone is developing movies at Marvel for Disney, usually you don't hear about them going across the street to DC to do a movie. Joss Whedon was the first big one to do that, but he left after Age of Ultron a long time ago, so he hasn't been doing anything at Marvel in a long time. But just let me know in the comments what you guys think of Action Comics 1000 and what you think about Bendis taking over the Superman character with Jim Lee. Sounds like it's going to be really crazy, so I'm just excited to see what they do with it because they're turning it into a pretty big high-profile thing. They've been running these Bendis ads for a long time. If you didn't know, this is a riff on the Jack Kirby ad when Jack Kirby came to DC. They were like, Kirby is coming because he was leaving Marvel. So it's sort of like the same thing when you have this really iconic Marvel creator coming to DC Comics. But obviously there's a whole bunch of Deadpool, Infinity War related stuff happening this week. I am working on a Black Lightning finale video, so while you wait for everything, click here for my Flash video from last night, and click here for brand new Infinity War. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.